We're now on page 25, the subject of the spiral tool, and you can create some interesting effects here. Well, I'm going to select my spiral tool. You can see I've already been playing. Previously we had the polygon tool selected, so that's what you'll see. And in fact, what I'll do is I'll actually bring the fly out all the way over here so that I can access it quite regularly. And in our next lesson, we're going to look at the graph paper tool. So the spiral tool is right at the end here, so I'll quickly select that. Now the spiral tool is different than the polygon tool. With the polygon tool, we simply could create our object, then come back up here and make adjustments. Well, as you can see, I'm adjusting, but nothing happens. So this is different. I'll delete that. You have to make your adjustments first, and then you draw. Okay, so a little bit of a difference there. Well, there are a couple of options. First of all, we have symmetrical spiral, and then we have logarithmic. When you turn logarithmic on, this scale becomes available. Let's start out with the stock standard symmetrical spiral. I'll put in a value of, say, 30. Hit enter. Now click and drag finger on Control and Shift as we've learnt, and you can see we've got a perfect spiral, and so each circle is the exact same distance away from the previous, and so on. So you can create some nice effects doing that, shapes doing that. You can always squash it up and do different things with it, however it is that you might want to design. Now for smaller spirals, type in 10, hit enter, click and drag, and away we go. Now we learnt, again, when we were using the polygon tool, that if we select the shape tool, that the nodes we can see, we can of course use those to reshape, but there is a difference. With the polygon tool, we had really special effects by adjusting those nodes. With the spiral shapes, all we can really do is what we call node editing. So I can actually reshape by using these swing arms, move the node into a different position, and I can kind of begin to reshape. Well, we're going to learn about node editing much further on, so I don't really want to do that right now, but I just thought I'll quickly show it to you, and of course you can feel free to play with that. You might want to grab the end there and do this and straighten it out a little bit, and that way it kind of looks like a reel that's being rolled up of cable or something like that. Okay, let's delete that. Back to my spiral tool. Let's move on to the next type of spiral, which is the logarithmic spiral. So I'll select this. Now with this slider, I'm going to slide it right down to, say, a value of 10. I've got 10 spirals, so click and drag, finger on Shift and Control again. As you can see, if you look closely, the distance between each spiral is slowly increasing. It's not really obvious there. However, if we increase this to, say, 30, finger on Control and Shift, now you can begin to see the spirals are getting further and further apart. If we lower the number of spirals to, say, 8, and then increase right up, Control and Shift, and that almost looks like a snail's shell, as you can see. Well, you can create what I've called down the bottom here a time tunnel effect by using this. If I put in a value of, say, 20, hit enter, and we'll go with, so type in a value of 60, and click and drag. But this time, rather than putting my finger on Control, in fact, look, the spirals are a little too far apart. Let me just readjust that. We'll come back to, say, 40. Now I'm going to click and drag, and this time kind of try to create a plane, if you like. So we're looking across the top of it. Right click, give it another color, say a dark blue or even a dark green. Tap the space bar, select my time tunnel word. I've got those two grouped together, so I'm going to ungroup them. That was a bit unprofessional, really. I'll pop that there. And I'm going to sit that on top. Now notice the green lines going over the top of the time tunnel. That's an interesting look, but Shift page up, of course, brings my words to the top. So I pop that there, and I begin to reshape it depending on the shape. You'll notice how it kind of looks different every time you reshape it. More circular is more tunnelish, and so you get a different kind of effect. So you do really get some interesting effects. Let's have a lot more circles. So if I go up to, say, 30, I'll lower this down just a little bit more. Click in the middle, finger on Shift and Control this time, and right click again for the green, space bar for my pick tool, select time tunnel, shift page up and to the top, and I think you've got the idea. So what I want you to do is go ahead and play with that, see what you come up with, have some fun, and then we're going to place a spiral on our business card in the next lesson.